Have you ever wondered how professional players like Faker, Bjergsen, or Apto consistently win solo queue games and come out of lane ahead of their opponents? One of the key factors that makes them such great players is their understanding of lane control. In this video, I'm going to thoroughly analyze how lane control works and how you can use it to start playing like a pro. This guide will explore three main topics. The first being how to create an absolute freeze. The second, how to deny the enemy the most possible creeps. And finally, finishing up with how to set up a slow push. I'd like to thank everyone so much for joining me today. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Alright, getting into the first section of the lane control guide, I'm going to show you 3 easy steps on how you can set up and keep an absolute freeze. An absolute freeze is when you're able to freeze the lane so it'll stay in the same area of the lane for an extended period of time. Step number 1 is pushing the wave. When the wave is in a neutral position like so, the idea is to push that wave as quick as possible so it'll reach the tower before your enemy's wave. If you're able to do this, all it basically comes down to is a mathematical game, since the enemy's new wave will crash into your wave further from the middle of the lane. The enemy's following wave will be able to arrive quicker, and eventually it will build up a wave of minions that is greater than your following wave, which has a further distance to travel. The enemy wave will then have more relative minions than your wave, forcing it to push towards your tower. Step number 2 is thinning the wave. Let me illustrate what I mean here by example. So as expected from step 1, the wave arrives right at our tower. If you observe before the new wave arrives, you'll notice there's 3 minions holding the wave in place. The idea here is to continuously have these 3 minions that will keep the wave in place. This is done by thinning the wave like so. Essentially here, I am slowly auto-attacking the minions and killing them at my own discretion, so that they will only kill my minions at a slow rate and not hit the tower. The idea here is to kill enough minions so that they will not overcome your existing minions and hit the tower. If your minions hit the tower, your freeze will be broken. It takes a little practice and your enemy laner will try to push the wave faster to break your freeze, but with the right amount of thinning, you can keep your freeze as long as you want. And once again, we have the same 3 minions here. That leads to the last and final aspect of the absolute freeze, rinse and repeat. Just keep thinning that wave over and over again so that the same 3 minions will arrive holding your lane in place. If you do make a mistake with the thinning, you can always return back to step 1 and repeat the process. So once again here, we repeat the process. We're setting up those 3 minions. I do however underestimate Mordekaiser's pushing power, so what I do is I drag the wave away to keep those 3 minions, just in time for my next wave to arrive and to keep the freeze in place. And there we are, we had the same 3 minions holding the wave in place at the same spot. As you can see, the 3 minions hold your wave just in time for the enemy's new wave to arrive, holding your wave in place. The enemy's initial 3 minions also damage your existing wave, making it so eventually the enemy's wave will outnumber your wave, allowing your wave to stay frozen absolutely. And as expected, we're left with 3 of the enemy's minions again to hold the freeze. So now that we've covered how to set up an absolute freeze, let's get into the next section of this guide, denying the enemy creeps. The most traditional and well-known way to deny the enemy creeps is the way you probably already know. This method is merely pushing the wave when the enemy is backing or has been killed, or is on a roam. I'm going to show you a method you may not know for denying the enemy creeps. It involves using his own minions against him. You heard me right, you are literally recruiting the enemy minions to your team temporarily. Okay, taking a look at the clip here, as you can see there's a lot more minions for the enemy than there is my minions. In cases like this, you want to use the enemy's minions to destroy your minions to deny him creeps quicker. So instead of just pushing the wave up, I actually just slowly last hit, allowing his minions to kill my minions, therefore denying him more creeps. Whereas we can see in the other half of the clip here, since I actually forced him to back and I have more minions than his minions, I push and keep pushing to make it so that when they hit his tower, he'll lose more net minions. And as we can see here, since he backed, he did indeed lose all of those minions. Okay, so now that we know how to set up an absolute freeze, we know how to deny the enemy minions in the two cases, the final step in this guide is how to set up a slow push in the side lane. Basically what the slow push comes down to when compared to freezing is that slow pushing is something that is done in the later stages of the game. However, sometimes in the mid lane, it's more commonly used during the laning phase so you can roam. Slow pushing is used to create big waves and apply pressure while you're away doing something different. This technique will allow your minions to take less damage, and consequently your minions will be able to slowly push the wave to the enemy's tower. This is huge because it'll create massive amounts of pressure around the map. Slow pushing is essentially the term that is used in the sense of gameplay because your minions will, even with a number advantage, still take some time to kill the enemy minions. The idea here is to have just a tiny bit more minions on your side compared to the enemy side. The best thing about a slow push is it's actually very simple to set up. To perform a slow push, all you need to do is kill the caster minions in the enemy wave. You can do this with your basic attacks or just by using your abilities to take them down faster. After that, you're set to go. The slow push will have been achieved and you can move to other objectives on the map, whereas the enemies will have an imminent presence on the map. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I appreciate every single one of you for checking out the video. I hope you found it useful, and remember, you are null and void. If you liked the video and want to see more great content, here are some other videos I think you may like.